Hey there, this is LaQuita with QuitaBugHandmaids.com. Thank you so much for joining me today for another Stampin' Up! Tutorial. So today I have a little different project to share with you featuring the Country Home stamp set. So I chose this stamp set for today's video because this set is actually retiring from our annual catalog. So I thought it would be fun to use it, get in a few more uses of it before it's gone. So I'm using this stamp set today and a few other retiring items. So let's go ahead and jump right into today's card. All right, so I've got all of my pieces here, and I'm going to start with this piece of Whisper White cardstock. We no longer sell the Whisper White. We now have Basic White. I'm just still using up all of my Whisper White. I had so much before we brought in Basic White. I've got my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I am going to stamp this image. Brought in my piercing mat just to get a really nice impression since this is photopolymer. So I'm just going to stamp this little floral image here. And I'm stamping this first because I want it to dry, have a little time to dry, because I'm going to do some coloring on it. And then I'm also going to stamp this little circle, sentiment circle here. Stamp that, I'll just put it right here. And then I've got Coastal Cabana. I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And I just chose the tiny little hello sentiment to go right inside of this little, did I say circle? This is an oval. Right inside of that little oval. Now I'm going to let that dry and come onto this piece of Melon Mambo cardstock. I've got my Melon Mambo ink, and I'm going to stamp this little water pitcher here, right on top. There we go. So now I'm bringing in some of my Stampin' Write markers, and I'm going to color this image. So I'm using Melon Mambo, Coastal Cabana, Garden Green, and then I've got, I believe, Sahara Sand. So I'm going to go ahead and start coloring in my image here. I would zoom in, but I don't want to bother anybody with my bacon burn here. So I'm not going to zoom in today, but it's healing up. It's looking a lot better. So almost healed. So I'm coming in with Melon Mambo first, and I'm going to color in a few flowers here. It was so interesting to hear how you guys cook your bacon. I learned so many different ways. Where's the other one I wanted to color? So many different ways to cook bacon. I have cooked bacon on the stove again since I burned myself, and I was very, very careful this time. Now I'm just coming in with Coastal Cabana, coloring in these images. And now Garden Green for the leaves. And then I'm coming in with Sahara Sand, and I don't know what this little image is called. This looks like some sort of like a pod for seeds or something. I don't know what these are called, but coloring this image in with the Sahara Sand. And I'll give you guys a close-up once I get this all colored. Okay, so I'll just bring that in so you can see it up close. Hopefully that's focused for you, but that's what the finished coloring looks like. So now I'm going to do something that I never do, which is hand cut this out. So I've got my paper snips. I am not a fan of hand cutting, but I'm going to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave a little bit of this white down here at the bottom so that I can attach this image easily to my little water basin. So I'm just going to go around, and I'm leaving kind of a little white edge. And I'm going to go all the way around and get this cut out All right, so I've got my little flower cluster all cut out, and you can see I left kind of a tiny little tab down here at the bottom. Then I'm going to come in and also cut out my hello sentiment. Okay, I've got my hello, and next I'm going to cut out my little water basin, and I'm just going to leave a tiny little edge around it, and I'm not going to cut out this little piece. I don't feel like trying to get my scissors in that little spot, so I'm just going to leave it. Okay, and there's my little water basin. Okay, so now we can start putting together this card. So for my card base, I've got a piece of Whisper White Thick. This is cut 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. I've scored it at 4.25 inches. And I do have all of the measurements for today's project over on today's coordinating blog post, as well as all of the products that I used. It's linked down below in the video description. So next I cut a piece of Coastal Cabana cardstock. So this is cut 4 inches by 5.25 inches, and I used the 10 tile 3D embossing folder. So you can see that really nice deep embossed image here on the cardstock. And that 10 tile embossing folder, the 3D 10 tile embossing folder, that one is retiring. So get it while you can if you want it. So since this is embossed, I'm actually going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus just to make sure I've got a really strong adhesive so that this doesn't lift up on the edges or anything. There we go, got that down. So now let me get this piece going. So I'm going to take my little flowers here, my little flower cluster, and put it behind my basin. Flip it over, or water pitcher, I guess you could call it. I keep saying basin. Take a dimensional, and I'm just going to attach the two together with a dimensional, and then put one at the bottom, and then also one closer at the top. So we've got that layer ready to go. Then I die cut some Whisper White cardstock using these stitched Sweetly dies. Let me show you those dies really fast. That's these dies. These are a new favorite of mine. I love these dies. So I think they're actually stitched so sweetly. Yeah, stitched so sweetly. So I die cut that image using, or that piece of Whisper White using this die right here. So it gives it a really nice stitched edge. So I'm going to take my little hello and pop a dimensional. I'm going to go ahead and put a dimensional on the back of that, and then just center that hello sentiment on there. There we go. Then I'm going to bring in the Forever Greenery trim combo pack. So this is retiring, so I'm using this beautiful, this is like a very vanilla ribbon, and I don't mind pairing very vanilla with Whisper White or with white. Some people that bothers them, but I don't mind that. So you can see this pretty ribbon. It kind of reminds me of like a waffle pattern, but it's so pretty. So I'm using both the very vanilla ribbon and then also this beautiful gold trim. So pretty. So I'm going to start with this ribbon here. And I'm just cutting a length of that. And then what I'm going to do is just adhere it right across this little die cut piece. So let me decide how I want it. So I just want the two pieces to overlap each other, and then I'm just going to bring in some tear and tape, cover that up to hold it down. There we go. And then I can add this layer on, my little hand cut pieces, and I'm just going to center those up, or center that up and put it on. There we go. And then I am going to add more dimensionals. Okay, and then I'm going to add this piece, this layer, right onto the front of my card, right about there looks good. And then I want to kind of trim these ends a little bit. Now I did find this ribbon was kind of difficult to get a good cut on because it kind of just starts to unravel a little bit, but it acts like it wants to behave for the video, so okay. Then I'm going to bring in that gold trim here, and we'll just give that a snip, and I'm going to tie a simple little bow here in this trim. And then I've got my glue dots here. I'm just taking one glue dot and I am just going to roll it up, put it right there, and stick my little bow right into that glue dot and give this a little trim. And then to finish the card up, I'm just going to add a few of these little gold enamel dots here. So let me just do one up here. Throw a couple down here. Alrighty, and that finishes up the card. I'll just give you a quick up close look, and there you have it. And of course, I made a matching envelope, so such a pretty card. I love it. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's tutorial. Thank you again so much for joining me today. And don't forget, you can find all of the measurements and the supplies for today's project over on my coordinating blog post linked down below. And I do have all of the supplies listed down below as well with clickable links. So thank you again for joining me today, you guys. I'll be back again very soon with another tutorial. Bye now.